What's up, amigos? Gonna do a quick update deck profile for Shiranui Standard specifically. This is something that I've been playtesting with the new cards that came out in the triple booster. I also got a chance to attend a shop challenge and actually do really well as well. Got first overall. Shout out to Sully's Abode. Great experience, great store, great people too. So definitely show your support as well. They have a website and everything that I'll put in the description below as well for you to check out. I just want to support small local businesses. Can't wait till the next event. Also, the giveaway is still open, so if you want to get a chance to get My Metal cards, energy counters, or even just like the clan cards, there's still time to enter. The link's in the description as well. I will also talk about energy counters at the end of the video too, since we still haven't gotten it just yet. So real quickly with the ride deck, not much has changed as what you expect. The grade 2 Shodo Doji is very important. It gets you Soul, gets that rear guard. Early game is important. It lets you play Aiza as well. And I know Japan recently got the ban list where this basically isn't allowed anymore, but in English, we're still gonna play it until we can. Looking into the grade 3s and grade 4s, the Oboros, I just played 2 copies. I never had problems with striding and of course going to Makuro. You could search them with the grade 1s as well, so not a big deal there. But if you wanna add the 4th copy, you can. But I also wanted to make sure I had room for like Peeling Dragon and also Esperidia. And then I added a new edition of Bracing Angel Ladder as well. So I think this is where I want to slow down a little bit because these are some of the key differences that I made from my prior deck profile. So I was playing Forbidal and I switched to Bracing Angel Ladder because of the mirror match. And so essentially you cannot dominate when you're under the effect of this, essentially. So if you might as well get affected by it, why not play it yourself against the mirror, essentially? That's important because Magun Tembo won't be able to dominate, your Oboro won't be able to dominate, and even your Makuro as well. And also with the wording with Makuro, it has to dominate a rear guard first before it can actually dominate a Vanguard. So literally your Makuro cannot do anything. Not to mention your phenomenal restanders such as Sekai and Furai, like they rely on an attack actually being dominated this turn to be able to restand in general. So the importance of Esperidia has gone up significantly too. I've even considered bumping this up to 3. The other option is to maybe like put Forbidal back as well and then have it as like a pseudo extra copy too. And at the shop challenge, I actually got hit against my opponent, Lie by Night, in the finals. He was playing Luard, and as soon as he rode up to grade 3, he actually just activated so that the following turn, I would have a lackluster first stride turn, essentially. Luckily, I had one of these bad boys still. So this is definitely a card that you want to watch out to because it can severely slow your attacks, especially if you're expected them to pop off that turn. Still playing 4 copies of Aiza, the early game is just as important still because you want to survive to the stride games, and then if your opponent is also like fighting for that first stride, this is also a way for you to like continue fighting for it essentially too. The fact that you could also add a stealth PG can be really useful, especially decks that have Vanguards that have the additional crit out of nowhere, or just restanding Vanguards such as like Mushi King, Greedon, and other like restanding decks, Minerva for example, and such and such. So that could come up as well. 4 copies of Furai still, but I reduced 3 copies with Sekai because I wanted to make more room with the grade 3, grade 4 slots. I've considered taking Aiza, the other grade 2, but I feel like that card is still like literally practically more used than this card because Aiza is live as soon as turn 2 essentially. And you also want to maximize the consistency of seeing in this card. So then this card really doesn't see action until really your second stride, because to get the full benefit of the effect, you need to see 2 face-up cards in the G zone already at that point. So that's why I felt comfortable reducing this to 3 as well. I've even considered raising Esperidia up and reducing this to 2, but I don't know if that's the right call because now I'm reducing more stealth units at that point, which can hurt the Shodo Doji effects essentially. The impactful grade 1 that we got is Shinryu, or Shinri. And so this card is phenomenal, like for real. This literally makes the deck to the next level. And the fact that this is also useful in the early game too, as soon as possible. You can commit this card because all it cares is your opponent having 1 or less rear guards. And most of the time, they're only going to have 1, if not at all, rear guards in turn 1, turn 2. And it's maybe that turn 3 where they commit a little bit. But they also, you know, some people just don't call on your rear guards because they don't want you to get that dominate with that first stride, especially if they know you're barely going to ride Oboro, essentially. So this card can still pop off at least and take advantage of those counterblades in a sense, while still giving you Soul, while still drawing a card back, and you just get your advantage back for free. This is also a 13k booster, so with the numbers that you make on the grade 2 turn, you're easily making 23k columns, which gets over a trigger regardless if they're a grade 3 at that point too. The other phenomenal thing is it's a stealth unit too, so it can be searched with the grade 2 Shodo Doji cards. You still want to play 4 copies of Tenrai. Tenrai gives you the advantage. It's a generic Aiza, essentially. You're basically getting a card for free. The only difference is that it's a grade 1, so this can only attack a grade 1 rearguard or vanguard and still hit. Otherwise, it ends up being a booster, and then eventually in your stride turns, you can also like bounce it back if a dominated attack hit. Notice that it just cares for any dominated attack. So you can have purposely one of those rear guards dominated, attack another rear guard, just so it makes it easier to like actually not only get rid of a problem rear guard, but also get that hit pop off. Because usually people try to guard the Vanguard pokes pretty easily if they can, especially if they know they can't stop the bigger attacks. So tip there right there. 4 crits, the effects, you need the soul, so this is just in case, why not? 4 more crits, the Dragon Empire OT. I went with the draws because I felt like the consistency of the deck is much more important, especially when you're trying to survive the early game. So if you take damage, which you are, you get a benefit of potentially drawing a card, which can make a difference. Also, if you're doing your drive checks with Makuro or even like your strides, because you are deck thinning, you're going to see triggers. So if you see this, this is another card to add to your hand. What I noticed about like playing this deck in standard too, especially if you pop off really well in your first stride, and in combination using a card like Peeling Dragon to draw more cards, it's easy for you to reach 10 plus cards in hand by the end of the turn, essentially. So you have a beefy hand, but also have enough hand to guard with the guard pieces that you need to guard with, but keep the combo pieces that you need still, such as like another copy of a Boro or Restanders if you need to replace them too. So that's why I value the draws a lot more than the front triggers. The crest is already given power too, and then if you're gonna see triggers anyway, it's basically a trigger anyway. I'm playing the 3 normal heals and also the effect heals. So this one is specifically for the Mare. This is for any Restanders essentially. This also works with Vanguards such as like Minerva, Greedon. And so there's some flexibility. If it's in a matchup that's dead, you could just like discard this with like a PG, or you can guard early because it is a 10k at that point. Sanctitude, stride deck, you can use it, but also there's stride decks around, so there's triple drives more often too. That's pretty much it, and so I hope that makes sense too. Moving forward, once we get the energy counters, there's nothing really that we get from the start decks necessarily, so you can use it to like pay cost of 7 energy to draw a card. So that's kind of a plus in that sense. But I know Divine Z has that Drag Ritter card or the Grade 2 Dragon Empire card that's pretty generic. I may take a look at that because it's also like using the Energy Blast, and it also depends if Bushi issues the English ban list by that point too. For us, we're not 100% sure at this point, but I'm sure with even like set 2, set 3, set 4, and 5, there's going to be more energy related support that we can still keep supporting Shiranui and still keep it a viable deck in the metagame. I'm having a lot of fun with this deck too. Nubatama was my first clan, and just being able to play basically strides into standard, I'm really enjoying myself. Very powerful deck too. I can see the differences once like you get your pretty much your striding going. This deck scales really big compared to other decks as well. And if you want to support the channel, use the affiliate links with TCG Player, Trading Card Mint, 50 Card Shop, etc. And also check out Dueling Guard's phenomenal anime products to increase your anime swag. On to the next one, amigos. Bye!